An arts advocate in the city of Detroit. She's a member of our state arts council appointed by the governor. And a few years ago, she founded a arts organization called Detroit Excellent in Youth Arts, which is a growing agency doing incredible work connecting people to arts opportunities for kids who might not have them otherwise. And over the last few years, she's also become a really dear friend of mine. So I'm happy to introduce Nafeesah Symonette.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. You might hear me offer a call and response during this conversation with you all, so I just want to make sure you're paying attention. Good morning, distinguished guests, fellow artists, colleagues, mountain movers, visionaries, educators. Good morning to those of you who know how to make a way out of no way. Those of you building community, who are leaders, listeners, lovers, friends, students, allies, and keepers of culture. It is truly an honor to be here with you today. I want to thank the Northwest Michigan Art and Cultural Summit, especially my dear friend and colleague, Troy DeShano, for inviting me into this space, this circle where stirring coals is not only metaphor, but it is medicine, memory, and movement. My hope this morning is that we connect, that we struggle together, we laugh, we solve challenges together, we lift each other, we love together, and we grow together. Ashe?
Ashe.
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 Thank you. Ashe is a call and response my family uses daily. In the indigenous Yoruba language and culture of West Africa, Ashe is a concept representing the power to make things happen and produce change. It is the life force and energy that runs through all things. It is all at once an affirmation, a blessing, and a prayer. We affirm and say, and so it is. Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is. I invite you to come along this journey with me. Pablo Picasso said, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist when we grow up. When I was 9 years old, my parents, Angel and James, saw my ability to draw as a flickering light to guide them, thus guiding me. Not as a burden or a hobby that I would soon get over or outgrow. Not as something that needed to be quieted, but something that needed to be stirred. It was my mother, an avid cover-to-cover reader of the Detroit Free Press, who came across an article on the budding nonprofit Young Artists and Company Incorporated, and she and my father signed me up immediately. Mrs. Joyce Ivory, founder of Young Artists and Company, was a petite woman, short, natural hair, and dark brown skin like mine. She looked like me. Her paintings were mesmerizing in a way my 9-year-old brain could not articulate. How does she do that? I constantly pondered. Watching her paint felt magical, and on my first day of class, a match was lit, and an ember blew my way. Mrs. Ivory, with teaching artist Kevin Davison, introduced me to mediums and materials my little hands had never held. Charcoal, pastel, acrylic paint, and kneaded erasers, chamois and blending stumps, easels and canvases. Every Saturday morning, my mother and father blew on my ember just a little bit. It's time to get up for art class. Every Saturday afternoon, Mrs. Ivory did the same. Standing over my shoulder, she would examine my effort and offer new techniques, new ways for me to consider how to transform my blank white canvas into a conceptualized image of a reference photo I was holding. For several years, Mrs. Ivory, Mr. Davison, my mother, and father gave my tiny embers a puff. As a freshman and sophomore at Henry Ford High School on the west side of Detroit, again, my mother blew. She signed me up for a dual enrollment program at Crockett Vocational Technical School, where 2 days out of the week I intensely studied visual arts, drawing and painting under the tutelage of Miss Cherry Parker. And then there was Mr. Belton. I returned to California to finish out my high school career at Palo Alto High School. And after about a week in his class, he leaned over my shoulder as I sat quietly drawing and whispered in my ear, "You are a breath of fresh air." Now here we are, friends, together today, all of those puffs later, that successfully stirred my coals. Every whisper of encouragement, every time my mother and father bragged about their artist daughter, every class, every new technique learned, every time I completed a drawing or painting, every moment of doubt and uncertainty, my embers grew. Who has kept your spark ablaze? And whose coals are you stirring with intention? Stirring the coals is not a return to the past. It's a reawakening of the power that has never lost, only quieted. Is your heart full and open and eager to receive? Are you listening, or are you doing all the talking? Are you sitting still within the fear of the unknown, or is your belly pregnant with excited energy? That feeling, that's your need to pursue, push forward, to educate and also motivate, to speak loudly and sit quietly, to challenge and question, to lean into the discomfort, to have an open mind and heart, to show empathy, to stand up, to be your authentic, full self, to be a force and a light, to resist, to give each other grace, to give yourself grace, to love loudly, and to see my humanity. This is what it means to stir the coals. Ashe?
Ashe.
I invite you to examine this further with me. We are gathered here in Traverse City on the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe people, including the Odawa and Ojibwe nations, who along with the Potawatomi formed the Council of Three Fires. This land holds stories that stretch far beyond our own lifetimes. The fire we speak of today is not just metaphorical, it is sacred. For generations, Native communities here have tended to cultural, spiritual, and communal fires, preserving language, ceremony, and identity, even in the face of erasure. I honor those ancestors, the original firekeepers of this region, watching over it and keeping it burning for generations. A fire that is sacred, intentional, and never allowed to go out. At times, low and flickering. At other times, ablaze with clarity and power. Their stewardship of this land, traditions, and spirit reminds us that the work of culture is not new, but that we are a part of a much longer continuum, called to listen, to learn, and to continue the tending with humility and with care. But the truth is, we can't keep this fire going alone. None of us can. Stirring the coals takes all of us, each within our own responsibility within this circle. Our artists bring the spark. They are the translators of culture, the disruptors of silence, the ones who dare to imagine and reimagine. Our artists agitate and cause good trouble, like Brother John Lewis encouraged us all to do. Educators. Our educators are the steady hands, tending the flame with care, keeping the coals alive in classrooms where creative light is often dimmed. Funders. Our funders provide the breath, not just through grants, but through belief, through flexible, equitable investment that honors the time it takes to build something lasting. Community leaders. Our community leaders are the stewards of space and belonging, fanning the flames of collective memory and cultural restoration. And then we have policymakers. Policymakers must protect the fire, crafting policy that shields creativity from the winds of erasure and gives artists and communities what they need to thrive, not just survive. And finally, our babies, our youth. Our youth are not just receivers of the fire. They are already burning. Our job is to create conditions where their brilliance, their genius, isn't smothered by systems not built for their full selves. Rest on that for a second. Our job is to create conditions where young people's brilliance and their genius is not smothered by systems not built for their full selves. Each of us holds a tool, a responsibility, a corner of the flame. Because if we fail to show up, if we assume someone else is tending the fire, the coals can grow cold. But when we come together, when each hand stirs with intention, we don't just preserve the fire, we expand it. Now it's our responsibility. We are the keepers of the flame. The image of that fire is not just literal. It represents the soul of a people, their wisdom, their resilience, their memory, their future. The firekeeper is trusted to watch, protect it, feed it, and ensure its spirit endures and the flame remains burning. While I am not Potawatomi, I carry the spirit of the firekeeper with me. As a Black woman, artist, educator, and arts advocate, I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors, my own keepers of the flame. They kept the light on for me. And like them, I've learned that part of my purpose is to not only tend the fire I inherited, but to stir the coals, to reignite what may have dimmed, and to pass that heat forward. Mrs. Ivory didn't just teach me to draw, it was so much more than that. She showed me how the arts carry our identity, our voice, our power. That sacred spark she shared with me, I've carried into classrooms and studios, policy rooms, youth programs, and communities for over 30 years. It has allowed me to support the creation of brave, beautiful spaces where Detroit youth are seen, affirmed, and empowered through the arts. I co-founded DEYA-Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts because I believe young people aren't just future torchbearers. They are flames in their own right. Understand this, keeping the fire is not a passive act, it's a responsibility. Our responsibility. Ashe? It requires attention, adaptation, and a deep love for community. It requires you to know and understand that none of this is about you. None of this is about me. It is only and all for our babies, for our young people. Like the firekeepers, we must monitor how things are going and make intentional adjustments to keep the energy alive. So let me speak to you for a minute, not to your title, not to your role. I don't want to speak to the job that you've been doing for years, just you, the individual, the human being behind the work. Because beneath all the visionary plans, all the programming you're doing, all the partnerships and all the proposals that you're writing, beneath all of that, there's you. And this work, the real messy, meaningful work of culture and community, it requires something more than strategy. It requires courage and vulnerability. Courage isn't loud. It's not always public. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to keep showing up when you feel unseen. Sometimes it's choosing to lead with integrity when it would be easier to be performative. Sometimes it's admitting out loud that you don't have the answer and listening with the learner's ear. Vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. It means being authentic, being honest about the parts of this work that ache, the dreams that scare you. The truth is that yes, we get tired, we grieve, we doubt. Look around this auditorium. You are not alone in that. This is the truth we don't always say in rooms like this. Doing this work, especially as artists, as educators, and especially as a cultural leader of color, this work can be isolating. In my LinkedIn tagline, I call myself a mountain mover. But the truth is, this work sometimes feels like I'm holding a mountain on my chest while being asked to smile and keep going. Often, the difficulty of our work is convincing other folks of its relevance, how important it is for our babies to have a space to discover the full breadth of themselves and the genius that lives in their souls. Here's what I need you to remember. Your humanity is not a liability. It's a source of strength. Your humanity is not a liability. It's a source of strength. The more you bring your full self to this work, your grief, your joy, your questions, your story, the more space you create for others to do the same. You don't have to be invincible to be impactful. You don't have to have all the answers to be a leader. Further, understand that your title does not automatically make you a leader either. Being a leader means being willing to be vulnerable. It means being present, honest. It means being open. That willingness, that's courage, and it is enough. So what does stirring the coals look like for us today? It looks like revisiting our purpose, reclaiming cultural stories, reinvesting in equity, reimagining what's possible. Remember, stirring the coals is not a return to the past. It's a reawakening of power that was never lost, only quieted. It looks like not allowing the systemic dismantling of our nation's art and cultural ecosystem by an unserious group of zealots to discourage our efforts. In this moment of cultural erasure, what are you willing to stand up for? What are you willing to protect? We are living in a moment where the very structures that support artistic expression, cultural heritage, community wellness, and human decency are under threat. Oh, but our good brother, Dr. King said, "We shall overcome." And Brother Malcolm proclaimed, "By any means necessary." Today is that day. We will do what is necessary to press forward because it's in our soul to do so. We will organize and we will fundraise and continue to create because we are artists and we are truth tellers of the time. Stirring the coals means not letting the heat of our collective vision grow cold because we're tired. No, we may be weary, but we have work to do. Our babies need us. It means not letting the heat of our collective vision grow cold because we are underfunded. No. We will use our resources and we will make a way out of no way. Stirring the coals means not letting the heat of our collective vision grow cold because we've been underestimated. No. The incomparable Miss Nina Simone said, "An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times in which we live." It means not letting the heat of our collective vision grow cold because we are under attack by the government that is supposed to be by and for the people. And don't get it twisted, friends. This time that we're living in is not an issue of politics. This time that we are living in is an issue of humanity. Can you see your fellow man's humanity? Do you see your fellow man's humanity? If I don't look like you, do you see my humanity? I believe fervently in the arts and that it has the power to unveil our humanity. Stirring the coals means gathering like this around the fire, sharing resources, encouragement, and bold ideas. It means holding each other accountable and to keep the flame sacred, not just symbolic. So let me say this. The coals we stir today may not flame up immediately, but they are still powerful. Sometimes it's in the glowing embers where we find the most sustaining heat. The work we do in classrooms, in galleries, in neighborhoods, in boardrooms, it's not always loud, but it matters and it lasts. So I ask you again, what coals in your life and work are waiting to be stirred? What traditions are you carrying forward? What bold ideas are smoldering beneath the surface, ready to rise? In moments like this, when we see policies dismantling the very foundations of cultural expression, when the fire of community feels under attack, it's easy for us to feel overwhelmed or silenced or exhausted. But our dear sister Toni Morrison so powerfully reminds us, this is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, and no room for fear. Y'all hear me? There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, and no need for silence, no room for fear. Sister Morrison said, we speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal. Ashe?
Sure.
This is not a moment to shrink. This is a moment to show up, to do the work, to stir the coals, to speak, to create, to preserve and protect what is sacred. Because our art, our work is not just an expression, it's a testimony, it's a blueprint, and yes, it is resistance. Morrison calls on us not to just make beauty, but to be healers, to be cultural workers who carry language, vision, and possibility through dark times. That is the sacred charge of the firekeeper. That is our calling. In this moment of cultural erasure, what are you willing to stand up for? What are you willing to protect? Are you willing to challenge the stories that shaped you, even when it's inconvenient and uncomfortable? Our babies need us evermore. Are you willing to stand up for the child whose creativity doesn't fit the curriculum? Are you willing to stand up for the child whose life may be brief in years, but full of relevance and truth in their own lived experience? That's the child whose vision might be the blueprint for our collective future. Are you willing to protect the languages, traditions, the truths that don't show up in policy papers, but lives in murals, in dances, in drums, in memory? Are you willing to stand up when it's not trending on social media? To protect the sacred, even when the world tells you it's disposable, not mainstream, not traditional, not classical? You, my friends, are the keepers of the flame, not just in ceremony or celebration, but in the quiet choices, the courageous stands, the daily stirring. You are co-creators of continuity and culture. You are witnesses to the sacred and to the spark. So I ask you again, what are you willing to stand up for? What are you willing to protect? What are you willing to reignite? Not someday, but now. Before I close, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and honor what deeply inspires me. And I ask that you contemplate the same. The loves of my life. My husband, Nick, who walks beside me in this work with strength, vision, and unwavering belief in our shared calling as educators. My daughter, Nafeesah Symonette, whose Black girl magic is her light, and whose brilliance and beautiful smile remind me why this work must continue. And my sunshine, Nicholas Alexander Symonette III, whose curiosity and spirit inspire me to keep building a world where every child's imagination is honored. At the age of 5, Nicky proclaimed that he wanted to be a dinosaur when he grew up. I mean, how could we not honor that? They are my daily reminder that legacy isn't just behind us. It's in our homes, It's in our hearts, and it's right in front of us. They are part of the reason why I show up fully as my full, authentic self, and part of the reason why I never stop stirring the coals. So as we continue to stir these coals together, let's remember to stay close to them, keep watch, make room, blow on the kindling fires, and pass that heat forward. Our ancestors left us this warmth. Our babies deserve its light. May we honor our roles as keepers of the flame with courage, creativity, and care. And so it is. Ashe.
Ashe. Yeah!